Hi Reddit, throwaway account for obvious reasons. I wasn't planning to post this not publicly, but the ending is finally in sight, and I need to put it somewhere. Maybe someone else out there has gone through something similar. Maybe you'll understand what it feels like to watch your child shatter piece by piece and not realize it until they are nearly broken beyond repair. My name's Mark. I'm 42. Single dad. My son Daniel is 15. He's quiet, artistic, the kind of kid who doesn't fit into any particular box. He doesn't play sports, doesn't care about TikTok or flashy brands. He likes drawing, playing indie video games, and feeding the stray cat that hangs around our porch. He's gentle. Too gentle for this world. Maybe. I always thought we had a good relationship. He'd come to me about schoolwork, ask for help with projects, talk to me about weird online memes I didn't understand. He never gave me trouble. Not once. That's what makes this even harder. I started noticing changes around 5 months ago. First, it was the silence. He stopped telling me about his day. Conversations that used to be full of color and small stories suddenly became dull. How was school? Fine. What did you learn today? Nothing. Then came the closed door. The earbuds in at dinner. The sudden disinterest in everything he used to love. I chalked it up to puberty at first. Teenage mood swings, right? Then, I found his sketchbook. He left it on the couch one night. I wasn't snooping. I just thought it was his homework folder and picked it up to move it. It fell open on a page, black marker scratches, deep angry lines, a picture of a boy curled up in a corner while shadowy figures loomed over him. One of the shadows had the word freak written across it. My stomach sank. I asked him about it the next morning. He froze, went pale, told me it was just a drawing. But I knew. Something was very wrong. A week later, I walked into the laundry room and found blood on the inside of his gym shirt. Not a nosebleed, it looked like it came from the mouth. His ribs had a faint purple bruise. He said he tripped playing dodgeball. I wasn't buying it anymore. That night, I sat down with him, turned off the TV, and said, Daniel, I need the truth. Right now. What followed was the longest silence of my life. 10 minutes, at least. He sat on the floor. His hands were trembling. And then it all came out. The names, the faces, the stories. 4 boys, all in his grade. All well-known around town. Jake Sullivan, son of the president of the school board. Kyle Jenkins, nephew of the principal. Tyler and Mason, both from local real estate and law firm families. Rich, popular, athletic, and entitled. They started with jokes. Hey loser, what's up, virgin, you still talk to your cat? Then they escalated. They'd follow him between classes, shove him into lockers, dump his backpack in the toilet, poured soda on his art project, took his phone and sent messages from it pretending to be him, laughed when a girl blocked him and called him creepy. Then it got physical. Bruises. Slaps. One time they knocked him down during gym and kicked him in the ribs until the coach walked in. I asked if he told anyone. He did. Once. A teacher. The assistant principal. They looked into it. Spoke to the boys, who denied it. Told Daniel he must be exaggerating. And the next day, the boys cornered him behind the science building, knocked his books out of his hands, called him a snitch, and spit on his shoes. That's when he stopped telling anyone. And now? Now he flinches when someone touches his shoulder. He triple-checks locks. He doesn't want to go to school. He said he felt safer pretending to be invisible. I sat there holding him that night as he cried like a little boy again, and I felt something break inside me. I'm not a violent man. Never have been. But something inside me flipped. This wasn't bullying. This was sustained psychological torture. And the school? They enabled it. That night, after Daniel finally fell asleep, I opened my laptop and created a spreadsheet. 4 columns. Name. Parents. Affiliations. Patterns. I knew who these kids were. I knew their last names. It's a small town. Jake Sullivan, son of Robert Sullivan, president of the school board. Real estate investor. Multiple rental properties. Kyle Jenkins, principal's nephew. Father is a lawyer. Mother runs the PTA. Tyler James' parents own the biggest car dealership in town. Mason Clark, dad's a surgeon. Mom? Influencer. Donates a lot to the school fundraiser. Each one of them had power. Connections. Shields. But power isn't everything. That was the night I decided to burn everything down. The next morning, I scheduled a meeting with the principal. I didn't tell Daniel. That meeting will be an update too. And what I heard in that office only made me more determined. This isn't just a story about bullying. It's about silence. About what happens when adults protect the powerful instead of the vulnerable. And how far a parent will go when their child is broken. Update: I didn't sleep the night Daniel told me everything. I just sat on the couch in the dark with my laptop open, spreadsheet in front of me, replaying every word he'd said. I kept thinking, how could this go on so long without someone stepping in? But the truth? Someone did know, and they chose not to act. The next morning, I dropped Daniel off at school after convincing him I had a work meeting nearby and walked straight to the front office. I asked to speak with the principal, Mr. Lewis. The receptionist gave me the usual fake smile response. He's in a meeting. I smiled back and said, he'll want to end it. I'm not leaving. 10 minutes later, I was sitting in his office. The man himself, Principal Gary Lewis, bald spot carefully hidden under a swoop of gray hair, khakis too tight, a smile like a used car salesman. Mark, great to see you. Everything all right with Daniel? I didn't answer. I opened my folder and slid over a printed list of names. 4 names, to be exact. He glanced at it and raised an eyebrow. What's this? The kids who've been assaulting my son for the past 4 months. The smile faded. He folded his hands. Assault is a strong word. No, Gary. You know what's a strong word? Spitting, punching, slamming someone into lockers, stealing their phone and impersonating them, recording it. That's not teasing. That's assault. He cleared his throat. I understand you're upset, but I'd appreciate if you allowed the school to handle. You mean the same way you handled it when Daniel reported it to your assistant principal? He blinked. I continued. Because he did tell someone. He told Mr. Hart. And after that, nothing happened. Not to the bullies. Anyway, but Daniel was humiliated in front of the entire school. So, tell me, Gary was at the system working. He leaned back, his tone defensive now. These are serious allegations. But without video evidence, without first-hand witnesses willing to talk. You mean without enough pressure to go against Jake Sullivan's father and Kyle's uncle, right? The silence in the room was deafening. I leaned in. Let me be clear. I'm not here to ask for your help. I'm here to let you know that you failed my son. And now, I'm going to find justice myself. He tried to stand. If you're threatening. I cut him off. I'm not threatening. I'm stating facts. I will protect my son. If the school won't do it, I will. And if I find one more bruise on him, it won't be handled in meetings. It'll be handled in court. I walked out before he could speak again. An hour later, I got a call from the district office. Apparently, Mr. Lewis had escalated concerns about an aggressive parent. I spoke calmly. I explained that I had documentation of the bullying, witness names, and records of prior complaints. The district rep sounded uncomfortable. We'll look into it, they said. In the meantime, perhaps you should keep communication through official channels. I hung up, and then I got angry, because it was all about control, image, protecting the school's name, shielding powerful families, the actual students, collateral damage. That night, I sat with Daniel again. He looked nervous. What's wrong? I asked. He hesitated. Kyle told me, he said if I ever spoke up again, I'd regret it. That his uncle would make sure I'd get expelled for harassment. That was it. The final crack. I hugged him. You're not going back there. Not yet. I called in 2 favors that night, one to a local journalist I used to work with and the other to an old college friend who specialized in digital forensics. Because if the school wanted to bury the truth, I'd make sure the whole damn town unearthed it instead. Update. I've never considered myself a vengeful man. I pay my taxes, keep to myself, walk my dog every morning and wave to the neighbors. But there's something primal that kicks in when your child is hurt not just physically, but emotionally broken. And after seeing my son Daniel relive every painful moment in silence, the fire inside me demanded more than justice. It wanted exposure. So I got to work. Step 1, documentation. I asked Daniel for every incident he could remember where it happened, when, and who was around. We made a timeline. I didn't push too hard on the details. I could tell it was still painful, but he wanted to help. He wanted it to stop, not just for himself, but for others who might be going through the same thing. Next, I reached out to other parents. Quietly. Turns out, Daniel wasn't the only target. 2 other students, both lower income, both with learning disabilities, had also reported harassment from the same group of boys. And just like Daniel, they were ignored or brushed off. One mom cried when I told her what I was doing. Said she thought she was alone. That gave me fuel. I met with my friend Emily, a digital forensics expert. She helped me retrieve deleted messages and videos from Daniel's old phone. One video showed Mason pushing Daniel down in the locker room while the others laughed. You could clearly hear Jake's voice saying, "Next time, cry louder, freak." That wasn't all. Emily pulled metadata showing when the videos were taken, proving the school's internal timeline was a lie. She also uncovered group chat logs where the boys bragged about bullying kids. Screenshots, names, timestamps. We backed up everything. Then came the school's internal documents. I submitted FOIA Freedom of Information Act request to the school district, asking for disciplinary records not by name, but by date and incident type. The report I got back showed exactly what I suspected. Multiple reports filed against those boys, most of them marked no action taken or unsubstantiated. One entry, dated just 3 weeks before Daniel finally broke down, said, "Student claims physical harassment in locker room. No witnesses. Parent informed." That student? Not Daniel. Another boy. Same pattern. It was systemic. Step 3, exposure. Remember the journalist friend I mentioned? Her name's Rachel. She's tough, no nonsense, and deeply invested in local corruption stories. I gave her the documents, the screenshots, the videos. She didn't say much at first, just looked at the images, jaw clenched. She asked one question: "Can I use Daniel's name?" I said, "Only if he agrees." We asked him that night. He hesitated. "Will they know it's me?" "Probably." He was quiet, then said, "Okay, if it helps someone else." Good. I was proud of him. Rachel's article went live 2 days later. Title: "The Boys Who Couldn't Be Touched Inside One School's Culture of Silence." It went viral locally at first, then regionally. The story named names, not of the minors, but of the adults who protected them. It detailed the cover-ups, the ignored reports, and the parents with too much money and too little conscience. And it got attention. The superintendent released a public statement about taking allegations seriously. The school board announced an independent review. And me? I wasn't done. I filed police reports. I contacted a civil attorney. I created a parent support group. Jake's father, the school board president, reached out to me directly. "I think we should meet." I told him to speak to my lawyer. What happened next was unexpected and will be an update 4. The House of Cards collapses. Let's just say power protects itself until it can't. Update: it started with whispers, quiet rumors turning into pointed stares, the kind of looks that cut deeper than any insult. Once Rachel's article went live, the town's carefully constructed veneer of polite smiles and private wealth began to crack. Jake Sullivan's father, Robert Sullivan, was the first to feel the heat. As president of the school board, his name was dragged through headlines accusing him of protecting his son at the expense of vulnerable children. Real estate deals he'd quietly pushed through suddenly faced intense scrutiny. Investors called, asking questions they never asked before. Robert Sullivan wasn't a man used to losing control. The first move was to call a closed-door meeting with the school board and the district superintendent. They agreed on one thing: the story had to be contained. Meanwhile, Kyle Jenkins' family was battling their own storm. Kyle's uncle, the principal Gary Lewis, was suddenly under investigation. The principal tried to maintain his calm and deny any wrongdoing, but teachers started coming forward privately to the press, contradicting his statements. At home, Kyle's parents faced the cold shoulder of their social circle. Invitations to charity galas vanished overnight. Their wealth and influence, once untouchable, now felt like shackles dragging them down. Tyler and Mason's families, the car dealership and surgeon households, initially tried to keep their distance. But soon they were pulled in by furious spouses demanding answers about how their sons had been involved in such scandalous behavior. One night, I got a call from my lawyer. "Mark, they are starting to come to you. Offers to settle, to make this all go away." But I told him flat out, no, justice isn't for sale. The bullies' parents tried everything: calls to my job, attempts to dig into my background, even threatening my son indirectly through mutual acquaintances. But I stayed firm. What truly broke the dam was the leak of a private audio recording. It was recorded by one of the teachers during a parent-teacher meeting. In it, Robert Sullivan was heard belittling the parents of bullied kids, saying, "This is just a bunch of whining kids trying to ruin my son's future." The town was outraged. The local newspaper ran a headline, "Power and Privilege, When Protecting Your Own Becomes a Crime." The school board faced an emergency vote, and Robert Sullivan was forced to resign in disgrace. Kyle's uncle, Principal Lewis, was placed on administrative leave pending a full inquiry. Teachers who had kept silent before suddenly spoke out about a culture of intimidation. Tyler and Mason's families saw their reputations crumble. Sponsors pulled support from Tyler's dad's car dealership, and Mason's parents faced an internal review at the hospital. But it wasn't just the adults suffering consequences. The bullies themselves were suspended indefinitely, with police investigating possible criminal charges for assault and harassment. Throughout all this, Daniel began to heal. He was quieter, yes, but stronger. His artwork grew bolder, filled with themes of resilience and justice. He started speaking at local youth groups, sharing his story to help others who felt powerless. The final blow came when the school district agreed to implement new anti-bullying policies, mandatory training for staff, and a confidential reporting system that actually worked. The parents who once mocked Daniel's weakness were now begging me for mercy at school meetings, in private messages, even in letters to my lawyer. They wanted the whole thing swept under the rug, to erase the public shame and start over. But some things can't be erased. I told them no, because this wasn't just about my son. It was about every kid who ever felt small and scared in a place that should have kept them safe. And in the end, justice isn't mercy, it's accountability. Update: after the dust settled, life didn't immediately become perfect. Healing isn't linear, and for Daniel, the scars left by months of bullying ran deeper than visible bruises. But the difference was clear. He was no longer alone, no longer silenced. The school had changed. The new anti-bullying policies weren't just empty promises. Teachers who once turned a blind eye now took reports seriously. The confidential hotline was set up, and students who felt afraid had a voice finally. Daniel started attending counseling, and slowly, his smile returned. He threw himself into his art with renewed passion. His pieces were raw, emotional, and powerful, winning a regional art competition and inspiring other kids who faced similar struggles. Our small community was shaken, but it grew stronger. Parents, teachers, and students held forums to discuss bullying, privilege, and accountability. The tough conversations no one wanted to have before were now front and center. For the families of the bullies, life became a reckoning. Some tried to deny and deflect, but the damage to their reputations was permanent. Business partners distanced themselves, social invitations ceased, and the community held them accountable. Daniel faced the bullies once again, this time not as a victim, but as someone who had reclaimed his power. He graduated high school with honors and spoke at the graduation ceremony about courage and standing up for what's right. For me, the journey was exhausting, painful, but ultimately worth every fight. Watching my son rise from the ashes of cruelty reminded me what parenthood truly means: fierce love and unyielding protection. The parents who begged me for mercy, I never responded. Justice isn't about forgiveness when harm is ignored and repeated. It's about ensuring it never happens again. And as for Daniel, he's no longer the quiet boy hiding behind a sketchbook. He's a young man who knows his worth and won't let anyone take that away again.